Hello. I
Yes,
believe that we are live on my channel, which is Prince of Queens, and I am joined today by my friend, your boy Pat. Say hello to everybody.
how you doing? What's going on?
So hopefully you guys have seen his channel by now. He has oh shit, have a window open. Okay. So he has a channel that I'm not sure how long it's been around, but you have a few probably like 4,000 subs, right?
Right now it's like 2,500. It's slowly growing.
Well, you have good videos. I expected you to have a little bit more. It's hard to keep track. You were one of the first friends I made from YouTube. I was in, I believe, a stream with I think Base Mama. You were trying to remember, and Pat made a shout out video to me
Yeah.
just a few days ago, and I watched it. It was very nice, very sweet of you to make that video. So yeah, you were saying that you weren't sure how we met, if it was through Sister Danger, if it was through Base Mama, but I'm pretty sure it was through Base Mama because it was actually, I think, the first live stream that I had been on with Base Mama, and
Mm.
maybe even the first live stream that I had ever been on. So I remember meeting you. So
Yes, I know it's between one of them because I know, like, you did a lot of live streams with Base Mama, and also you did live streams with Sister Danger and all that right there, and y'all pretty cool.
yeah, I'm pretty good friends with both of them. So yeah, I remember meeting you then. And so Pat has a channel and he talks about, the sort of, I don't want to say typical, but like similar things to what I talk about, really. Um why don't you tell us the kind of things you talk about on your channel?
Well, on my channel, like, I talk mostly, like about the feminists, the SJWs, the rabbit parts of all these groups right here, Black Lives Matter and all that right there. It's like calling out all the BS and the hypocrisy that they be doing.
Hmm. Yeah. I would say that's yeah.
And besides that, it's like, I have other entertaining things. I do my Psycho Rick persona, all that right there. And plus, I have my shout out series where I take, all these popular YouTubers, that I like and I've, watched as I've developed my channel along the way it is right now. And I shout them out as a way of, showing them, how much I love their channels and trying to, you know, get them out there as more as they are right now, even though more of them are just like popular than me.
Uh-huh.
It's my way of showing my appreciation for that channel.
Yeah, well, I certainly appreciated it a lot. And so if you're a YouTuber that is watching this, try to make friends with Pat and maybe eventually he will watch your videos and shout you out. It happened to me. And I really appreciate it a lot. So I was gonna
Yeah.
oh, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna go into a story about my I wanted to talk a little bit about just Black Lives Matter because I think it's both Pat and I have a very specific perspective on it, and I think that our perspective is kind of different, but I have a feeling that we also have a lot of common ground in the way that we view things, even though we approach the whole Black Lives Matter issue at a very almost diametrically opposing viewpoint. I'm a gay white guy that lives in Seattle, and you are a black guy that lives not in Seattle. I mean, if you don't want to say where you live, you can, but uh, you live somewhere.
Yeah, right now I live in Texas. Yeah, I live in Texarkana, Texas.
Mm, okay, yeah, that's very much not Seattle.
Yeah, I'm down in the deep south.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about my growing up experience in terms of, and as it sort of relates to Black Lives Matter. I grew up going to school in the inner city of Seattle. I didn't live in the inner city ever. I mean, I no, I did live in the inner city. Sorry, that's not true. But I didn't live in the same neighborhood as my actual schools. I went to school in black neighborhoods, and it was a very specific thing. It was a kind of a magnet school type program where they bust in kids that were in some sort of like gifted program or whatever. And I was in a program that was about 2 years ahead of your grade level because I'm like supposed to be smart or whatever. Even though, I really wish I wasn't looking back on it. Like I did not get any benefit from being in the only thing that I got out of that was like sleeping disorders because I would have to spend like in like elementary school I would have to like stay up all night working on a project for school because it was hard.
Mm.
So it was fucked up. But what happened was there especially in middle school, elementary school and middle school I was in this program, and then in high school I went to an alternative high school which was in the same black neighborhood. And middle school especially, my middle school was 80% black, and then the gifted program was about 20% of the school, and it was mostly white and Asian. There were a few black kids in it, and they were largely my friends because I didn't like a lot of the white kids. I thought that they were obnoxious and they thought that their shit didn't stink. And they all they all seem really spoiled. I'll concede that they were pretty smart largely, but they all seem pretty
Mm.
spoiled, and they were shitty. They didn't treat kids well. Like they acted like the kids that weren't in the gifted program were like peasants or something, like they just didn't really
Mm.
it was like they couldn't talk to them like real people. They had no concept of the idea that just because a kid doesn't talk like you, that kid might not be smart.
Uh,
It's like, oh, that kid doesn't talk like us, he must be stupid. And I was like, no, I don't even think he's stupid. Like, well, some of them were, but like so there were kids that weren't stupid, and I kind of resented both the white kids that were in my school because I was always kind of different and stuff. I was kind of faggy and loud and
mm.
weird, like you can imagine a little version of me. And but then like I got picked.
I said, no, not you, Prince.
But I got picked on plenty by the black kids too in the regular, the 80%, the kids that weren't in the gifted program. I honestly can't
Mm.
think of a single black kid that was in the gifted program that wasn't like sort of my friend. And some of them were my pretty good friends and like came over to my house a few times and stuff. Because there was this girl that in the fourth grade, she had these big birthday parties because she would have a joint birthday party with this other kid that her family knew,
Mm.
and they would rent out like community centers, and we would spend the night in the community center and shit. And so I started going to her birthday parties, and I was the only white kid that was invited most of the time. There was this one other kid who was invited once or twice, but she was mixed. She was like black and Native American and maybe something else. And so she invited all of the racial minorities. She invited the Asian kids and the black kids and me. So I was friends with all of the kids that weren't white in the gifted program. And then I don't know, for whatever, I don't know why she liked me really, like out of all the other white kids. But that's sort of what my experience was like. And then in middle school especially, it was when things got weird. It became like there was, what's the best way to explain this? There the behavioral standards were really really fucked up looking back on it. Like the subtle bigotry of low expectations.
Mm.
Yeah, like that kind of a thing where people, the teachers, if it was a gifted kid who got in trouble, it was like a really big deal, and they'd call your parents. And my sister got in trouble for like, I don't know what she did. I think she went on a school field trip that was an overnight thing, and she snuck out and maybe like got caught making out with a boy or something. I'm not sure what it was. I don't really remember.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was pretty bad. But there was this teacher named Miss Torklip. I'll say her name because I think she's dead now. She was a fucking cunt. Um, Miss Torklip was like Native American.
oh man.
No, she was horrible. She was a horrible person. Um, she was. like Native American and white, I guess, but she mostly looked white, but she was really into being Native American and she hated the white kids, but her but then she sort of had that like subtle bigotry of low expectations thing going on where she never punished the kids in the regular program. And if they my when my sister got in trouble, my sister came home and was like telling about her how she yelled at her, and she was like, you kids in the gifted program, you think that you're the hot shit of our school, but you're not, you're nothing, you're, like that kind of a thing. And like, yeah, it was weird because that sets up a standard where the kids in the gifted program think that they're expected, not only to work hard but to behave, you know and
Hmm.
looking back on that, that's kind of messed up, because it's like there were kids that were not in the gifted program that were plenty smart, and nobody ever really expected them to be smart, and they didn't expect them to behave. And
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to them, looking back on it. I think about some of them. I'm thinking about like, oh, maybe he got killed in a drive-by, haha. But then I'm like, wait, but what about the guy that defended me from him when the other one was trying to beat me up, like, how do I contact these people? Like, I only remember a few of their names, and then I went away to college, and I was gone for a really, really long time. I have no the kids that were in my school, then there was a very, very big separation between white and black in Seattle, and that's just how Seattle is, and it's very it's
Hmm.
you um I I don't know if I want to say it's become a little bit more diverse, but the neighborhoods have been highly gentrified, and it's very strange. So now Black Lives Matter is a really, really big deal in Seattle, but it's, like most places, Black Lives Matter is mostly white people. And to the point where it's a problem at the protests because they're trying to make sure it looks like black people by putting white people in the back. And it's like, and I really think that the and my mother is into Black Lives Matter type stuff, not so much anymore, but and I've had to explain to her, like, Black Lives Matter isn't really I don't think a black people movement, it's a black feminist movement. And that's really a big difference. There's a
Hmm.
big difference between, and my mom kind of gets it, but she also, like, all of her, upper middle class, like, white social justice hippie type friends, they are all into it, and it never occurs to them for a moment that this movement might not help black people. And I think it's just because they live in Seattle and their experience with black people is very limited, and it's very it's just it's warped. It's not accurate of what most black
Hmm.
communities are really going through. So I figured I wanted to talk to you about that because I feel like from the sound of the way that you talk, it sounds like you probably grew up in a place that is a lot different than Seattle in terms of how many black people and white people there
Yeah.
are. So why don't you tell us your story of growing up now?
Yeah, like me growing up, like I said, I'm from well, I'm living in Texarkana, Texas right now, but I'm originally from a little small town called Tom, Oklahoma. It's like one of those towns, like, if you looked and you just passed it by. It was a little like I grew up in the country mostly, and during my childhood, basically growing up, it's like I have been surrounded by all races of people, But my school, like my little elementary school that I mostly went to and things like that, the majority of it were black people, and we stayed in, the town is so small that we all stayed around together that we practically, like took care of each other. Like if we went over to somebody else's house, we had to respect them no matter what they were and things like that. If you
Mhm.
acted up there, you got dealt with there, like no matter what the race of people were and all that right there.
Hmm.
So basically, I grew up like, respecting people and respecting, no matter who they are and things like that.
Mhm.
And like I said, I've been around so many races of people. I've been around white people, Indian people, Hispanic people, especially in the town where I was at. But the majority of my elementary school was black.
Mhm.
So after when I got into middle school, that's when everything really started diversing right there. Cause my elementary school only went to like a certain level. Then after that, we got bused to a little the little neighboring town called Hayworth. That's where I spent middle school and junior high and high school right there.
Can I
And
can I
that, like I
can,
told you, that's when we got really like go ahead.
oh, I was just going to ask you how old you are, if that's cool.
Me, I'm 38.
38. Okay. Yeah, I'm 35, so we're similar age. We could have gone to high school together.
Mhm.
So yeah, you were talking about getting
So it's like
bussed into
when
middle
I got
school.
up on
Yeah, bussed into middle
yeah,
school.
bust in the middle school
Yeah.
right there, and that's when yeah, that's when everything really started mixing up right there. Like like black kids, white kids, and like like in the part where I was at, the majority of the population is mostly like Indian, Native American,
Uh-huh.
especially like Choctaw. So it's like, like the schools ended like being like, the majority of that, mixed up with white kids, black kids, and a little bit of Hispanic and things like that. So, me being raised the way I was, my parents always taught me like, like see personality and not color.
Uh-huh.
But I've had my fair share of, like running into like certain people, like running into, like I ran into a few racist white people and all this right here,
Uh-huh.
and at that very young age, didn't handle it as well as I do right now. But it's like at that age, that's how I slowly progressed into the person that I am right now. Yeah, I used to be the part, I heard the N word, oh, I blazed up, like, man, what you call me? And all that right there. But as time went by, and people would sit up there and talk to me, like my parents and like and like the white people I hung around with and everything. When I stay at their houses, they like teach me certain ways, like like this is how certain way go around their time, in their houses and how they do right there and everything. So
Uh-huh.
that's how I basically learned how to pick up like different cultures and all this right here, with white culture and Indian culture and Hispanic culture and all that right there. And that's how I basically learned how to, like mix all my stuff together and see the world in a different point of view
Hmm.
as I was growing up. So that's why, like I said, I don't see race. I don't see color as much and things like that. I see a person's personality, and that's what really, strung me up to the person I am right now.
Hmm.
So when I graduated, I went out into the world, and like I said, after I graduated, I went to the military. I served there for 8 years. Then when I got out of there, I took up amateur wrestling for a little bit.
Oh, you did? I
Almost
didn't
went
know
pro,
that.
but I blew out my fucking left knee.
Oh.
Yes, I used to amateur wrestle. That's how I kind of got like this size I did right now.
Oh. Do you have any videos of that?
So like I amateur wrestled for. I did, but it's like I lost them in a fire, and it's like the place that I used to wrestle and things like that. It's like I really can't like get a hold of like the old footage and all that right there. It's like, man, I actually miss those times too, man. Like if my left knee didn't get out, man, I wonder if I would be in the WWE right now because that was one of my dreams.
Uh-huh.
If not that, like I learned how to cook in the military, so that's how what I'm doing right now is like just cooking because I love to cook. My mom, all that right there. She taught me how to cook and all the things right there. So I just developed that. That was my second go round. So
Uh,
besides wrestling and all that right there. So I've been cooking ever since. And I love what I do. I made a career out of it. I went to college, culinary and all that right there and everything. Now the job I'm at right now, like I said, I'm a chef and working at my place of business right there. I don't want to give out that kind of information because in the past, somebody tried to like find out where I work at, but they got the wrong they got the wrong workplace.
oh, that's good. Can you even say what type of food it is?
Yeah. What type of food is basically like I do a lot of catering and I do like a lot of cafeteria food and things like that, like but most of my time is spent like doing like, catering for like big time events and all this right here, like doctors and all the
Uh-huh.
we have like a convention center around here where they have like, special events and we hook it up for them.
Uh-huh. That's cool.
It's great because I get the, I just get the, like hook food up. I love cooking.
Yeah. I You were saying about being a professional wrestler. I actually had a friend in San Francisco who was a professional wrestler. Well, he was like you. He was training to become a professional wrestler, and he would go out. He was weird. He actually looked a little bit like you, but with like long dreads, not like super long, but he'd always have them in a ponytail, and he
Mm.
was like big black guy, and he was bisexual, and you would not ever think so at all. I mean, I guess he's bisexual. He's not gay. He didn't seem gay though, is what I'm saying. And he he would show up to gay bars, and there was this long period where he didn't have an ID, but he was, probably like 30 or so. And so I knew him for a while, and he kept showing up to these gay bars and like not they wouldn't let him in, and I'd be like, no, I know him, he's my friend. And I would be all wasted, and then we'd be like smoking on the sidewalk, and I I'd be like, hey, you should like pick me up, and we would do this gag where we would freak people out because he would like pick me up and like put me over his shoulder, like, and I would start screaming like he was like, about to like throw me on the pavement or something, and people would be like, oh my god, and be like, no, he's my friend though, I'm just joking. It was pretty fun though. I forgot about that. It's not something I'd ever talked about. So okay, so let's segue onto. I wrote this down. What we were gonna like talk about. Let me just look at it again. We were gonna talk about where you grew up. So what is your basic feeling about Black Lives Matter and like what they've accomplished? Do you
Oh
think?
man, oh man. When Black Lives Matter first came out, man, it's like the way they were portraying in the media was like it's like they would use like cases and things like that where like, oh, this cop shot this black person and that right there, and the way they were portraying it at first was like, like, man, that's really messed up, and I really feel for these black people. And when you have stuff like people like out there, like protest and talk about Black Lives Matter and things like that, and the way they were justifying it at first, it's like, all right, this does sound like I'm saying, something to get really, behind, because Black lives really do matter. And like and there is police brutality out there, but they try to make it like it's a whole big giant racial thing, and it's all against black people and all that right there. But as time went by, you just started seeing it change, especially when the politics started getting involved. And I'll say, you just saw like all the rioting, all the craziness going on, and then they started like justify shootings and things like that. And next thing you know, you got people like taking over platforms and all this right here and acting like damn fools. And I'm like, what in the hell are these people doing? Like like you're really like hurting the movement with all this craziness that you're doing. Then, like say, you get the Gazi Kodzos and you get the Tariq Nasheeds and
Yeah,
all them right there, with on YouTube and all this stuff, acting a fool and things like that. And like I told you, how the media was portraying, even though you can see that I'm saying a lot of the shootings were justified and things like that, but they're just like, oh, this is a horrible racist thing right here. Another black person has been shot by a white cop, and it gets all the people who buy all into it, all crazed up. Next thing you know, they're out in the streets, they're blocking the roads, they're attacking white people, assaulting and things like that. And down in Dallas, when they called for, I'm saying, what do we want dead cops? What do we want it now? And I'm like, oh my freaking God. And then the guy went on that damn shooting spree right there, killed those cops right there. That's what really, got me right there. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, like they have taken Black Lives Matter, what started out as a real good thing, and now they have turned it into like this crazy radical ass movement,
yeah.
and it's just nothing but just like I'm saying, it's just being racist and senseless killing and senseless assaulting and things like that. It's like basically they just became the KK, the black KKK,
Yeah. I mean, I can
in
definitely
my
yeah,
opinion.
I can definitely see why you would say that. Like and yeah, it's weird. Um I wanted to mention Ghazi Kotso. Do you think that he is 100% sincere with what he believes? Because I've always thought that he seems like an actor and someone's
No,
paying him.
Gazi is doing this shit for the attention and for the money. Like I've said it many times. I've seen people like this before. They will sit off there, they will run, they will shoot their mouth, they will act like I'm saying, oh, we're doing this for the black people, and I will stand by my black people and all this right here. But
Yeah.
if shit ever hit the damn fan, Gazi will be the first one that will turn bitch and hightail.
Oh yeah, hell yeah,
He
he
will
would.
not stand.
Dude, he's not even like he
He
could
will hightail and
he
run.
if Ghazi and Kotso and I went to school together, like in the black school that I went to, like, and he acted like he did, he would get his ass beat every day. Like kids would have fucking hated him. Like, oh, he's so obnoxious, and he's like, I yeah, he's just like just the way he runs his mouth like that and shit. Oh, like he does not speak for the black community. Can I
No.
can I safely say he speaks for the fucking white people that he has in a little kennel or whatever that I feel guilty about.
And that's what it basically is. It's like what God's in everything. Besides him, being one of the most racist motherfuckers on YouTube, it's just basically him, putting on the act. I'm saying to try to keep, like the ignorant ass side of black people who buy into this stuff, especially like I'm saying, like the young youth who is so gung ho and is so quick to believe that, oh yeah, it's a system that's trying to keep black people down, and we need to stand up and fight for it and that and everything. And while you at it, why don't you donate to me and things like that? Give me money so we can help our hoodoo and all that. You ever notice that whatever his videos, like he always say, oh, donate to this or give money to that or
Uh,
subscribe to this, or it's a big marketing money scheme and things like that to try to get black people like, to give him money for stupid shit. And next thing you know, he goes and spend it on God knows whatever. But oh, this is for the black people. No, this is just to fill your damn pockets. You know what I'm saying? You're a big ass con artist.
yeah. Did I ever tell you that I had a friend that got into the Ahuru cult for a little while? Did I tell you that?
Mm-mm.
No, so she's this Asian girl that I've known since the fourth grade, and I'm still friends with her actually. So I've known her for like well over 20 years. And she, in the early 2000s, before YouTube even existed, she got sucked into Uhuru, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a fucked up thing because like they manipulated her. So she's really organized and she's ambitious and she likes to stay busy. She's just one of
Mm-hmm.
those type of people. So they manipulated her simultaneously by trying to like act like talk about white privilege and be like, see, you're Asian, you're a person of color, you know what it's like, blah, blah, blah. But then it was like, yeah, but you got to stay afterwards and do all the photocopying because you have Asian privilege. It's not as bad for you as for black people. And so they were like always taking advantage of her. And like
Mm-hmm.
I stayed with her for a weekend when she was living in Oakland, and like they would not stop calling her. They called her like fucking 6 times while I was there, and I could tell because every time she got off the phone with them, she was like, uh-huh, Ohuru, and I think she might have even answered the phone saying Aquavia or whatever. Like I think she
Oh
might,
God.
yeah. But she eventually got tired of it. Like she was like, yeah, it's bullshit. Like these people are weird, and they were kicking people. Like if somebody would start asking too many questions about like where's the money going or whatever, then all of a sudden they would like banish that person. That person they'd
Oh yeah, if you get to talk, ask a question about finances and all this right here, that's one thing about like these organized groups and these cults and things like that. The last thing they want to hear, they don't want you to ask questions. They just want you to shut up and just follow their orders.
yeah. Yeah, they don't want. Yeah, if anybody who is curious about anything,
Hmm.
no, they got to go. So yeah, so she ended up quitting, but I hung out with her a few months ago, and I was like, "Oh my god, I have to show you something." And I showed her Gazi Kotso, and she was like, "Is this for real? Is this even?" She couldn't even believe that he was attached to the same organization. She thought that maybe it was satire or something. She was like, "No, this is no." So it was pretty funny because I think suffice it to say, he seemed a little bit too gay for what she remembered. Is probably what was going on. But
Hmm.
the black activist scene these days is like super super fucking gay apparently. Like um so yeah, I was asking you what you think that Black Lives Matter accomplished. Where do you think they're going? And how do you think that they will what, where do you think that they're going, and what impact do you think that they're going to have on the black community?
Right now, where I think they're going is like where you see a lot of things they're doing, like say, oh, we demand reparations, we demand, this right here, black only safe spaces and all this right here. It's like basically they're going back in history right here, back to what it used to be, like I said, where it really used to be racist, like where things were segregated, things were separated, like like black people and white people, they didn't have, like the coming together that we do have right now. It's like everything, it's like they take so many steps backwards to achieve. I don't know what the goal is, but it's like I don't know. They
There's
just they just use so many freaking excuses to like,
every time they try to come up with a goal, it's like at least 10 different things that are all
man.
relatively vague, if not like
Hmm.
35 things that they're trying.
It's like I don't think they know what they want. Basically, what it is, I'm saying, is it's just a bunch of people who just want a lot of free shit. They want things to go their way, and they want to blame everybody, especially the white men, for them not making a good come up as or them, like squandering their opportunities and failing at things. Everything is the white man's fault to them.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, what impact do you think? So you think it's going to lead to more racism? Is
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Especially with this whole blacks can't be, people of color can't be racist and all this bullshit right there. If I get so sick and tired of that right there, talking about, oh, you're black, you can't be racist. Bullshit, if I can't, I just don't want to. Because why? The way that I was raised.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't want to. It's like the other people. It's like, oh, thanks for the get out of jail free card. But it's not going to work. It's not going to keep you out of jail if you do something super racist.
No.
Um, yeah, it's weird and it's silly. So, what else was I going to ask? Oh yeah, so this is a major one, and I've been very curious about this from you because you have kids that are in there. You have like a teenager and a maybe like an 11-year-old boy or something like that.
I got right now I got a 15-year-old. She's gonna be 16 in June. And my son, he's gonna be 13 in August, and my youngest daughter, she's gonna be 12.
Hmm. So everybody talks about how, when you're a black parent, you have to sit down your kids and say like, if the police ever mess with you, you gotta like follow their orders because otherwise you might get hurt. Um, did you have you done that with your kids? Is that like a thing that you've done?
I said, like not just yet. I think the only issue I've really had with one of my kids, basically my son, is like he has white friends and he has black friends and they like to play a lot of basketball a lot. Like I think I actually made a video about this where one time my son and one of his white friends got into it because they were playing basketball. And you know how black people get together and stuff like that. It's like what you got, nigga, and all this right here, they dropping the N bomb left and right amongst each other.
Uh-huh.
And so, like said, his white friend got all curious, about like why they always calling each other the N word all the time and things like that. And and of course, my son being young, he didn't have the answer. So, his friend just asked, well, I'm saying, what's the difference between black people and black people and niggas? So as soon as I'm saying, his white friend said the N word, that just set them off, and they just got the fighting all that right here, according to the story when they once told me.
Uh-huh.
So when I get off of work, I get the call that they got into it, and now like his mom and they mom getting all into it and things like that. So I have to come all the way from my workplace all the way down to where they live,
Hmm.
to see what's going on. So, since they couldn't get everything along and things like that, like, your son called my son this and all this right there and everything, the women ain't gonna get along. So I had to gather the boys up myself. We had, like a little guy talking. We talked the whole entire thing out. Once he told me what was going on, they both gave me their sides of the story. I just broke it down to my son and to the boy right here. Is like, this is what it basically come down when he asked that question, like, what's the difference between black people and niggas and things like that. It's like the way it is, like, like a black person would have basically sat there and either explained to it or been like, what, I don't appreciate you saying that word. Could you please kind of not say that? Unlike niggas, niggas would do exactly what he did. They would just up and react because you said something that, he didn't want to hear, even though like your black friends have been busting that same word left and right when y'all was on the basketball court and things like that, but yet you didn't say nothing to him. But yet when this person from another race said that towards you, now you want to get set off because why? That's like the normal thing too. I told you that's the difference between black people and niggas. Black people will actually explain things or ask you to kindly like, refrain from saying that word around them and things like that because they don't feel comfortable. While niggas would just up and react. So when I broke that down to both of them, in a way that I could and all that right there, they've been cool ever since because now they really kind of get it, and I think it really helped their relation much better.
Mhm,
Because they really haven't had no trouble since. They're the closest of friends that you ever seen and all that right
mhm.
there. And that's one of my things right there. One of the knowledge that, me as a father, wants to give to my kids right there is like, no matter what race, creed, religion, or whatever, and things like that, always, judge a person by their personality. And then if they ask you a question like that, that's very personal and you don't have the answer, just let them know. It's like, I don't know the answer to that and things like that, like, but if, I would like, if you would kindly not say the N word around me and things like that. And maybe a lot of people will respect that more instead of just basically, if people ask you the same question that, that my son's friend asked him and things like that, and all of a sudden you just get all crazy and nutty and just want to start swinging your fists and things like that. That is the fucking problem.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to explain it to you. Your kid's lucky that he has a dad that can like actually have that talk and like be cool about it.
Hmm.
I definitely I have literally called I've literally like I don't even think I mean maybe on live streams at this point just because we hang out with shitlords, but like I never ever said the word nigger. Or maybe like in elementary school just because I didn't know what it meant. But
Hmm.
in but through high school, college, adult life, the only time, and this is this is kind of a funny story. I had a friend who's this girl that's lesbian who was in a band with me.
Hmm. Yeah, you still there? Yep. Did we go silent? Ah, dang. It's like everybody can hear me, but can't hear Prince. Like, what happened? Uh-oh. I said, well, maybe he'll come back. In the meanwhile, let's see. Let's check out the chat. What everybody's saying. Yeah, if he doesn't come back in a second, then that's going to kill the stream. Oh, damn. I say, hey, oppressed black chick, how you doing? I see you, Marty. I'm noticing your senpai. See how
I'm back. Hey.
All right, here we go.
Oh my god, I can't believe that that happened. I was all like in the middle of a story and I'm like, wait, something.
And all of a sudden, everything just went like, okay, where'd he go?
Oh my god, I can't believe how
Here
long
we
was
go.
I gone for?
I said about a good about what 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh no. Well, okay. Well, I guess if I'm probably going to save this, so I'm going to put it in the description. Then I have to skip a certain part. So, how far did I get in the story?
Well, you were saying that you had met somebody, and then after that, everything just went silent.
Oh my God, I told so much of it. That's so embarrassing. Um, I was like lying on my back, not looking at my computer. So, okay. Um, I had a friend. This is the only I was talking about the only time that I've ever like said the N word to like a friend of mine ever
Mm,
until YouTube. But like everybody that we know on YouTube, we know because we're sick of political correctness. So like
yeah.
people say it all the time, and it's just sort of like what the sort of skeptic shitlord community is like.
Hmm.
So but prior to YouTube, I never said it. Never. It just was not except for one time. And this is the one time. I had a friend who is black, and she's a lesbian, and I used to be in a band with her. So her and I were, really good friends. And she had this girlfriend who was a stripper, and she was white, and she was a drug addict. So she was like,
Uh,
every bad stripper cliche. Like I remember this one time, um, she was trying to get something, and disclaimer: I do not endorse drugs. I do not do drugs anymore. I might have some time in my past, and I'm not going
uh,
to say what, but
yeah.
things happen.
Everybody's had one of those moments. I used to smoke weed.
Yeah, yeah. So but like I just don't do it, and I don't recommend that people do it because you'll be a lot happier if you don't. But people do stuff when they're young. They try things out,
I
and
don't know. When I used to get blazed up, man, I used to be pretty ecstatic.
yeah. Well, hey, I live in a legalized marijuana state. So yeah, I smoke to be honest, the reason I don't smoke weed is that it makes me kind of stupid. Like I forget things, and I can drink a lot and like wake up and be relatively intelligent, but if I smoke a bunch of weed, I'll wake up and I'm like foggy, and it's hard to like make a good video. And so it's hard for what I'm doing with YouTube right now. But yeah, so this stripper, I remember